You're with Julian on the Brown Notes and a review of the first Omen, the sixth film in the Omen series, one of the, I guess, primordial laneways of horror alongside the likes of Friday the 13th or The Exorcist or Halloween or Texas Chainsaw Massacre is definitely the Omen movies. They kind of own a particular dread-based variant of the horror movies, not so much based on thrills or based on, violence or people being chased down, but this existential dread that there's, a satanic force after you, which I found very effective. I did a review last year, I think, on the first Omen film, which I think is an absolute classic, great screenplay. Virtually nothing at all wrong with that film. After that, there hasn't been a particularly good one. 2 was definitely very watchable and had some great moments, but not a particularly good film. And then awful through the next ones, particularly I think the remake of the first Omen film, which followed the initial film scene for scene. So they just remade it the same way they remade Psycho. They remade it scene for scene, and it just didn't work because it just showed you how much better each scene was in the original. But the first Omen is a far better proposition from Acacia Stevenson, who I think has done mainly TV work. This is the feature film debut, and it's a prequel. It's actually a straight prequel to the very first Omen film, in the same way that Rogue One is a prequel to the first Star Wars film, in that it knits almost up, well, it does knit up to the opening of the first Omen film. So this time around, we get Nell Tiger Free, who I don't know, but is very appealing in this. And I think, I thought she had a famous mother. I don't know much about her, actually, but she's very good here. Now, the first thing to notice about this film is that it's an exact replica, or it's coincidentally exactly the same as a recent Sydney Sweeney film, Immaculate. To such a degree I've never seen before in cinema. And I've got space for both of them. I like them a lot, both. But it's very, very odd that they have virtually exactly the same storyline. The Nell Tiger Free character is a wayward American youth who falls in with the church and decides to go to Italy to devote her life to Jesus and be part of this Italian convent where strange things keep happening, and the birth of the Antichrist is in the background. That could be the exact description for the Sydney Sweeney film Immaculate as well, which is kind of strange. Someone actually said in America that because of the massive push towards restricting women's rights in America, that these kind of films will come up. I agree on one level, but to have something that is so plot point by plot point identical to another film that only came out 2 months ago is completely bizarre. I've never encountered something so close. But anyway, I like them both. So this one that probably looks a little bit wealthier on the budget side of things. So she goes, as an American student who's going to become a nun, she goes to this Italian monastery. Not a monastery, I don't know the correct terminology, but where there are other women that are going to devote their lives to Jesus, and they're all going to become nuns. She encounters which one is it? Maria Caballero, as a roommate that is keen on sowing her wild oats to a degree before she becomes a nun in a few days' time, takes the Margaret character, played by Nell Tiger Free, out on the night out. She blacks out, and strange things happen from that point on. We also get Ralph Ineson, the great British actor Ralph Ineson, as somebody who is shown to believe that there is something very wrong going on with the religious institution where these nuns are, and that there's something historically wrong with this institution, and they're up to no good in pretty much the same way as the movie Immaculate. And it's a pretty decent cast here. So Sonia Braga is a very famous actress, and Bill Nighy and Charles Dance in the same film. For Underworld fans, rejoice. Charles Dance, I think, is one of the most underappreciated actors of his generation. Everyone loves Bill Nighy. I think they're underrated here as well, because they could have used them a bit more and given them a bit more oomph as characters. So we get the lead character. She sort of starts to believe that maybe this is something going on behind the scenes, particularly with the young woman that she. So they throw a nice bone to the audience. Is it the Nicola Sarasi? Yeah, Nicola Sarasi as Carlita. She's a character that's presented as an older child who is continually locked away by the other nuns because of the terrible things that she draws, or that, you know, she attacks other students. It's a good sleight of hand from the director there, I thought. I was really impressed by this film. I did not expect it to be as art house as it was. This is far, far from being a dumb film. And I thought, you know, the Immaculate film wasn't a dumb film either, but this isn't a dumb horror. It's a lot more art house than the original Omen film was. And it goes into some seriously twisted, provocative imagery as well. I think they struggled to get a certificate for release due to at least one scene which really stuck out as being, God grief. The production values come across as being really sumptuous as well. So I thought the same about Immaculate, though. The shooting of the religious institution in Immaculate was very, very good as well. Everything about it I really did like. Even the music, Mark Corven, I don't know who he is. Cinematography by Aaron Morton. I thought it's like a high class effort from all involved. Because I had seen Immaculate, I kind of expected some of what was coming to a degree. Then there were other elements to it where I thought that they actually threw me off the scent quite effectively as well. Definitely a very strong performance in lead by Nell Tiger Free as well. It's just weird having two films back to back that are so similar. But honestly, it's shaping up to be a very good year for horror films that are a cut above simply having a gimmick like, say, Smile, but actually have a bit more substance and backbone to them, and some pretty provocative elements in this one as well. Definitely the way it pans out at the end. And if you think it dovetailing up into that first Omen film tells you where the plot is going to end, it doesn't. And this does lead itself open to a sequel. Whether that would happen in tandem with that first Omen film, whether they'll remake the first Omen film to include the extra element. So nothing in this film actually disturbs the Omen universe, but there's like another universe alongside it now. And I think they did a really, really good job, especially for a first-time director. I thought she had a hand on the pulse, where it was funny where it needed to be, a bit decadent where it needed to be, mixing the styles of the visual imagery, and when they go clubbing, everything changes as well. I thought they did a really good job. So I'm going to give... What did I give? I feel like this deserves exactly the same score as Immaculate. I can't remember what I gave it, but I'm going to give The Omen an 8.5 out of 10. I very much enjoyed it.